Buying high and selling low is only relative, yet people still call Chelsea a genius in the transfer market. In fact, the more they sell, the more money they seem to have for new signings. What have their sales and accounting teams done to run Chelsea like such a top-tier business, especially while staying under the watchful eye of the PSA Financial Fair Play regulations? Today we're going to lift the curtain on these secrets, a masterful accounting method, long contracts to spread the cost. Chelsea is one of the most creative clubs when it comes to applying accounting rules to manage transfer activity. Under Todd Boehly and the Bluco Group, the club built a sophisticated financial strategy centered around amortizing player value. This allows them to sell numerous players without necessarily recording a loss in the financial statements, even when the sale price is lower than the original purchase price. At the heart of this strategy is signing long-term contracts, typically 6 to 8 years, with young players, then spreading the transfer fee evenly across the years through amortization. Under UEFA and Premier League regulations, Chelsea can spread costs over up to 5 years, regardless of how long the contract actually is. This reduces annual financial pressure and makes it easier to sell players within just 1 or 2 seasons. The math is clear. Suppose Chelsea pays £70 million for a player on a 7-year contract, but the amortization is calculated over 5 years. That means the club records £14 million per year as an expense. If after 2 years the player is sold for £45 million, the remaining book value is £42 million. So Chelsea can still record a £3 million profit in that financial year, even though in reality the cash inflow doesn't fully cover the initial investment. This gap comes from the difference between actual cash flow and the accepted accounting methods allowed under current financial regulations. In the summer of 2025, Chelsea continued to push this strategy aggressively. Deals like selling Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall to Everton, offloading Armando Broja, or releasing Leslie Ugochukwu all took place as the club sought to generate enough revenue to register new signings for the UEFA squad list. Transfer profits became a crucial tool for Chelsea to balance the books ahead of the June 30th financial year end. In the 2023 to 2024 financial year, Chelsea reported a profit of around £130 million, largely thanks to selling the women's team to the ownership group and recording accounting gains from player transfers. However, the report also pointed out that player sales have not yet delivered truly sustainable cash flow, with profits from transfers reaching around £51 million. An improvement over the previous year, but still heavily reliant on internal transactions or exceptional deals. Mass player sales not only help Chelsea comply with profit and sustainability rules, but also serve as the basis for continued investment in long-term targets. However, this approach also raises questions about squad stability, as the club is willing to part with high-potential players after only a short time, as long as the accounting gain is enough to give them an advantage on the books. Buy cheap, loan out, raise the price, cash in. Chelsea buys young players because they know how to turn that time into cash. The profit lies within the conveyor belt of a closed-loop business model, scouting, developing, promoting, and cashing out. Omari Hutchinson is a prime example. A near-free signing who played just 2 games for Chelsea's first team before being loaned to Ipswich. There, he scored 11 goals and provided 6 assists, helping the club win promotion. His market value soared, and Chelsea sold him for £20 to £22 million with a 25% sell-on clause. It was a virtually pure profit deal, and notably, it didn't cost them a spot in the first-team lineup. They buy, loan out via the multi-club model, let others develop the player, then cash in or restart the cycle. Strasbourg, the French club owned by Bluco, is a crucial link in this chain. From Angelo Gabriel and Andre Santos to Matisse Amougou. These players are either loaned out or sold to Strasbourg for fees of 14 to 15 million euros, often before making a single senior start for Chelsea. They don't need to be famous, only to have potential. Some who disappoint are offloaded at modest prices. Others who perform well are put on the market while demand is hot. Those who truly shine are kept as strategic assets, ready to be sold at premium prices when the right buyer comes along. Cole Palmer is the clearest example, bought for £42.5 million from Manchester City, now valued at around £250 million. Chelsea rejected a €170 million offer because they know his value is still rising. The key is that Chelsea has created a level of liquidity few clubs can match. They don't wait for the market to call. They create the value themselves. Through media exposure, performance data, and playing time, all within a tailored model provided by their loan clubs, every detail is engineered to produce an attractive profile for the player. Each loan is not a stopgap measure, but part of a deliberate value-raising cycle. They know what the player needs, what the loan club needs, and what the market needs, and from there, they make money the way an investment fund rotates assets. As a result, in the summer of 2025, Chelsea brought in over €150 million from transfers, even though most of the departures were players who had never been central figures in the first team. This was not luck. It was the product of a systematic strategy operating like an industrial assembly line, and within that machine, a player doesn't need to succeed at Stamford Bridge to become a profitable asset. Under owner Todd Boehly and the Clearlake Group, Chelsea has stunned the football world with massive spending and constant player offloading, seemingly without worrying too much about immediate profit or loss. Yet what few people talk about is the real reason Chelsea dares to spend like this. Not simply because they're wealthy, but because they were freed from debt during the Roman Abramovich era. Before being sanctioned by the UK government in 2022, Abramovich decided to write off approximately £1.5 billion in loans that Chelsea owed him. This wiped the slate clean financially, giving Todd Boehly and his partners a debt-free platform to take over. In other words, Chelsea entered the early stages of a new era with a virtually debt-free balance sheet, unburdened by past financial pressures, allowing them to spend over £1 billion in just 2 years on player acquisitions. The focus has been on young players with long-term development potential, even if many deals may fail. They could also offload players like Kai Havertz, Mason Mount, Mateo Kovacic, and Ruben Loftus-Cheek, without worrying too much about immediate profit margins. Chelsea does not sell players to achieve financial survival like Barcelona or Juventus. They sell to refresh the squad, restructure the lineup, and sometimes simply to free up squad space for other young talents. Even the strategy of handing new signings 6 to 8 year contracts is deliberate, allowing transfer fees to be amortized on the books over time. Combined with the debt-free foundation Abramovich left behind, Chelsea can completely afford a few years of inefficiency as long as the long-term plan stays on track. No club can sign 20 players and expect all 20 to succeed, but Chelsea dares to do it because they have room to fail. This also explains why Chelsea under Todd Boehly often moves quickly in the market, unafraid of being overcharged or taking losses. They don't sign players solely for the current season. They build a foundation for the next 3 to 5 years, and even if some deals flop, it's an acceptable cost, thanks to the hidden but crucial safety net of Abramovich's debt write-off years ago. That financial turning point is the reason Chelsea today can aggressively rebuild without fear of losing direction. The new era Chelsea is no longer a club sustained by the unconditional injections of cash from a passionate owner like Roman Abramovich. That era ended alongside the political highs and lows of football. Now, Stamford Bridge, operates under Clearlake Capital, a massive American private equity firm whose sole goal is profit. Clearlake does not run Chelsea like a traditional football club. They operate it like a business in their investment portfolio, with the primary product being players. If in the past Chelsea could sign Didier Drogba, Michael Ballack, or Andriy Shevchenko simply because Abramovich wanted them, today every deal must offer a clear return on investment. Every contract is calculated either to create immediate value or to generate future cash flow. Chelsea no longer buys players solely for immediate on-field needs. Every signing is viewed as an investment. They aim to buy the right player at the right time and sell when the value peaks. Profit comes from such deals, while growth is achieved when the entire squad's valuation keeps rising, both in financial terms and in exploitable potential. Names like Kai Havertz, Mason Mount, Mateo Kovacic, Christian Pulisic, and more recently Ian Maatsen, Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall, and João Felix all left when their market value was still high. Chelsea does not hold on to players for sentimental reasons. They sell when an asset is no longer delivering maximum returns or when they need capital to reinvest. Even if a player no longer fits the footballing philosophy or fails to meet performance expectations, they are willing to take a controlled loss through outright sales, asset swaps, or inserting buyback clauses. Many thought Chelsea took a loss selling Ruben Loftus-Cheek to Milan for a modest fee, or regretted letting Mount go to Manchester United for £55 million. But looking deeper, those moves generated cash, reduced the wage bill, and made room for new assets like Cole Palmer, Enzo Fernandez, and Moises Caicedo. Younger players better aligned with the long-term plan. This is how Chelsea operates with extremely high liquidity. They can rotate players at lightning speed without creating financial deficits. In today's football market, where financial fair play models are tightening and no longer allow the wasteful spending of the past, the ability to sell effectively has become a competitive advantage. And with their products being young, athletic players with clear development potential, Chelsea holds a significant edge. At Chelsea, players are assets with a defined investment, exploitation, and liquidation cycle. They may not keep a player until his peak, but they know how to sell before the value declines. They are not driven by emotion, nor do they need to squeeze every drop of value until a contract runs out and the player leaves for free.